Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to This Week in Bitcoin. Today is June the 16th, 2017. And right now we've got two special guests here. We might have a third or a fourth join us soon enough. But you all know Gabriel from Venezuela. He's back on the show, and he's going to actually talk about his own show that's going to come on after this, which is everyone needs to check out at 8:30 Eastern time. But we also have a new guest coming straight out of Mexico City. It is Daniel Vogel of the Bitso exchange in Mexico City, in Mexico. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Em. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am great, and it is awesome to have you here. So this week in Bitcoin has been a wild one. We had it all. I think at the beginning of the week, it was an all-time high. Then we had this giant drop because of the news of the user-activated hard fork proposal, which, of course, sent a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt that I tried to calm people down about. But tell us the perspective of what's going on in Mexico. Just tell us about Bitcoin in Mexico and about what happened this week in Mexico with all these rumors and everything.
Sure. Well, Mexico is a very interesting place. Mexico is a pretty large economy. We're about the 15th largest economy in the world. We're a country of about 120 million people. But if you look at the financial inclusion numbers in Mexico, they are horrendous. So you have sub 30% of the adult population has access to formal credit. So there's basically no one has a credit card in the country, and less than half of the population has access to a bank account. And so financial services in the country are really poor, and the country's been, as the years have gone by, has gotten more and more and more connected. The number of Facebook users have almost tripled in the last 6 years. WhatsApp users have also tripled in the last 6 years. You have basically a country where 8 out of the 10 cell phones that were sold last year were smartphones. And you have, of the 120 million people in the country, you have over 100 million people with access to mobile phone lines. And so you have, and the average age in Mexico is about 28 years old. So you have a super young country that is incredibly well connected, or is getting more and more connected, more access to internet on their phones, but complete access to financial services. And so what we've seen in Mexico is that a significant portion of the users that we attract in the platform to Bitso actually rely on Bitcoin and on digital currencies more than just for speculation, or maybe to as an investment, or to safeguard their assets against inflation. But actually, a significant number of people rely on it as a method of payment, and as a method of payment specifically to e-commerces that accept payments in Bitcoin. So last year we saw significant growth in that. So I'll give you a few examples, but young adults that want to play video games and started to make payments on Steam because they don't have credit cards, and Steam started taking payments in Bitcoin. Unfortunately, as everyone has witnessed, the transaction fees of operating in the Bitcoin network have significantly increased to the point where it makes prohibitive to make a $5 to $10 payment online. And so, we try to do fancy things in our exchange, like bundle transactions to keep transaction costs low, and to keep fostering these sort of use cases. But at some point, there's just a limit to what you can do with the rising fees in mining. And so everyone in the country is, just couldn't get scaling. The scaling can't get fast enough in the country. A lot of the early use cases that we were seeing in the exchange have started to sort of deplete themselves simply because miner fees have gone up by such an amount. Now, at the same time that miner fees has gone up, the price of Bitcoin has also gone up significantly. So those users who had, a little bit of digital currency, a little bit of Bitcoin, Ethereum, that they decided to play with, those people are very happy because, oh my God, I put in a little bit of money here and it's tripled in the last 6 months, 7 months. And so it's created this sort of like double-edged sword where on one hand, people are dismayed at the really high fees, and they're very interested in resuming those use cases where they could just transact very easily online, person to person, fast and conveniently, and sort of the fact that they are now benefiting from a significant appreciation in these assets, no? And so we get asked every minute, every hour, in our social media, if you check it out, everyone's asking us, what are you going to do about BIP 148? Are you going to run a user-activated soft fork node? Are you going to, what's your stance on this? We publicly supported Bitcoin Classic in January of 2016. We've publicly supported SegWit. I think, when you're a company, we have hundreds of thousands of users now on the exchange. And when you see the use cases and you see how high fees are really depleting a lot of the really interesting benefits of Bitcoin, our number one interest is to get the scaling debate moving forward. We think there are significant improvements that can be done in a lot of different areas, but sometimes you gotta do what's quick and easy in order to just keep growing, because if not, what you're doing is that if you looked at our market share, we used to trade about 98% Bitcoin about 10 months ago, and our Ethereum market has been larger than our Bitcoin market the last 2 days. And it is not only price related. We see a significant number of users who have started to rely on Ethereum to do transactions because the transaction costs in Ethereum are an order or two in magnitude smaller than those in Bitcoin.
So you have proof that the users are transacting between one another with Ethereum? You've heard about this? Like I wonder how you obviously know when they buy it from you, but how do you know what they do with the Ethereum afterwards? That's very interesting.
Yeah. So I will tell you a very interesting use case that we see in Mexico. When we were growing, Mexico is a very different country than the United States. The United States, people have a lot of disposable income, and so it's easy for things like Bitcoin to become used by a large number of people, and the US also has 3x the number of people that we have in Mexico, and so it's a much larger market with a lot more disposable income. When we started Bitso, we had to really dig into use cases and really bring use cases, and so a lot of the use cases that we were bringing were cross-border transactions. And so Mexico has a lot of there's a lot of Mexican students that study in the United States, and there's also a lot of international students that come in and study to Mexico. So we thought, oh, that's a really interesting market. These people move small amounts of money between countries, and using the regular banking system is probably really expensive. These people are young, they're tech savvy. They seem to be like a good, good contenders to use this technology. So we started, just started telling people about this. And so we have a large number of students who use this just to move money between countries, between Germany and Mexico, between Mexico and the US, et cetera, et cetera. And we obviously had always preached Bitcoin. In the last 6 months, I know of several users who have asked me, hey, why didn't you tell me about Ethereum before? Because Ethereum is a lot cheaper and a lot faster than Bitcoin is. And I've actually started, and not myself, but these people tell me, I've actually started using Ethereum to do my cross-border transactions because the fees are much smaller, and because I can get, the amount of confirmations that people require in an exchange, which is usually between 30 and 60, that happens over the course of 6-10 minutes. Whereas we had transactions today in the morning stuck for over 3 hours before they got picked up by a single miner, because it's just the network is just saturated, right?
Wow. This is a unique perspective. I have not heard this yet about people actually using Ethereum for something there. So you're saying that you definitely have heard about cross-border payments being done in Ethereum.
Well, I'm getting married to a German lady in 2 months, and she lives in Mexico. And her parents were kind enough to send us some money to help with the expenses for the wedding. And they had originally used Bitcoin, and now they use Ethereum only. So I have, not only have I heard of it, I have had firsthand experience in people that I know closely and I'm related to that have started to rely on Ethereum just simply because it's faster and cheaper.
Well, as you said at the beginning, SegWit is needed now. Obviously, Bitcoin needs a scaling solution. So let's and people are asking you about it a lot there, which is not shocking because you are in control of the exchange. They want their coins to be safe, and it's big news here. And I've tried to calm people down about it. So let's move on to Gabriel in Venezuela to tell us his perspective. He's familiar with the exchange down there, obviously. So what's going on with the exchange there? Are people asking about August 1st? Any news about Ethereum? Again, Ethereum reached an all-time high recently also, so we're going to talk about that. And we'll get to Juan Galt. He'll talk about that obviously too. But Gabriel, tell us what's going on in Venezuela.
Yes, of course, my friend Adam. Thank you for having me here. Great news from Venezuela. You know, there's a big movement growing about the people using cryptocurrencies. Not only in my city, not only in Caracas, but also in many other states, like the ones that close the border and other places, you know, like near the jungle even. So Bitcoin has grown so much, and still in Venezuela it brings the main factor as a means of exchange through the internet, where you have a lot of currency which is unable to cross borders, which you do easily with Bitcoin.
So I want to ask you, are people this week when a lot of people were panicking in the United States, unnecessarily, I'd say, do you get a lot of panic emails, or do people know about this? Do they know about what's about to happen?
No, for real. The only people who really know and care about this are like the real people who really study what's going on, are the only ones concerned with this. The rest of the people, they just know the Bitcoin somehow is going to evolve and be better, and they just don't care. They just hold their Bitcoin, and that's it. They just buy and hold.
Oh, yes. So I want to quickly move on to Juan real quick, but everybody pound that like button. We got a lot of you live viewers out there, and it's good to have Juan here. Juan and Gabriel are about to debut their show at 8:30 p.m. Juan, tell us what's up with Bitcoin this week, and then also give out the link that where everyone should go after my show to hear your show. And unmute yourself there. You're muted.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, so I mean, what's happening with Bitcoin this week? It's been completely insane. I think that, you know, the battle lines have been drawn. You know, USAF is going to do this, Bitmain coin is going to do that. They're calling it Chinacoin in Twitter, I see,
Yes.
which sounds about right. I just tweeted out that I think we'll see two Bitcoins, and they're probably going to be split on geographic territories. You're going to have, you know, West Bitcoin and East Bitcoin. We don't know how big Bitmain coin is going to be, but it may be reasonably big. It may not be, right? So, I mean, I'm happy to talk about this in much more depth. But just to sort of give people, answer the second question about the show, we're going to start a Bitcoin YouTube channel and YouTube show on a Bitcoin Habla Español. Bitcoin Habla Español. We're going to launch the show in about an hour right after this one, and it's going to be all Spanish and talking about all this stuff because there's a lot to talk about and very little information in the Spanish world about cryptocurrency, and people are hungry for it. So check it out. I'll give you guys the link. I'll tweet it out to you and in a few seconds.
The channel is actually called, so as people might remember, the original pilot episode was here on this channel. So that is linked to below. And by the way, everybody's pertinent links are below here. Actually, Gabriel is, I don't know which one Gabriel wants to give out, but I gave a link to an old Gabriel interview. But check out the links below here. Always check out the links below. But it's Bitcoin Habla Español is the name of the channel itself. Is there space? Are there spaces or? Everyone will have to check out after this show is over to get to their show. But it's a must-watch show. Even if you don't know Spanish, it's good just to give it pound that like button for them, so like people find out about it, because obviously the Spanish-speaking community of Bitcoin is growing. All these three guests on the show right now are all Spanish-speaking guys. Juan is down in Mexico also, and Daniel's obviously in Mexico City. So I want to ask Daniel though. You just heard what Juan said, that he thinks Bitcoin's going to split in two. I think that's the worst case scenario and what everyone is trying to avoid. What do you foresee happening here?
We are part of the group that is working on SegWit 2x, and we are working hard to try and get this out, before that August 1st deadline, and basically not have a split. I completely agree with you that having coin split is probably the biggest risk to everyone. It's going to be an operational nightmare to everyone. It's the amount of value being stored that is at stake if this thing splits, and the amount of confusion that it would bring to the industry, to the holders, to the investors, to the people, to the regulators. I would think it's going to be a huge setback for Bitcoin if we have a split. And I think, SegWit 2x has a significant amount of support from players, from the community, from miners, and it's an immediate solution to the scaling problem. The biggest question is whether we're going to be able to have something that has been reliably tested by the deadlines that this project has put for itself. We've contributed financially to the development of this project, and when we're providing few resources to it as well, and hoping that we can get something out quickly that is responsible and scalable.
I have a double question here for you, because again, since it's your exchange, you get to see all the numbers. If you think scaling is solved, and what do you see the price? Where do you see the price going after August the 1st if everything just works out perfectly? And two, right now, are people trying to get hold of the Bitcoin before August 1st so they don't have to worry about it splitting in two? Have you encountered any shortage problems or anything like that?
No. This is a fascinating question. I would have expected that a lot of people would start withdrawing their funds from exchanges. We haven't seen that. Maybe it's because we're still in June and there's still 6 weeks before that happens. I would assume that you're going to have basically a split into two groups: the people who are savvy enough, who will want to have control, and they will not want to depend on an exchange to decide for them what is the future of their coins. And then you're going to have a lot of people who are not technical enough to be able to do that, and who are just going to have to rely on exchanges to do the right thing. We lived through the Ethereum hard fork, and we gave our users access to both Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, whatever balance they had on the exchange at the time of the fork. And people really appreciated that, right? Like and most exchanges did that. Most exchanges that were trading Ethereum made good both sides of the chain. The huge difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin is that through the use of smart contracts, it was incredibly easy to build replay protection on Ethereum. So this idea that if someone wants to withdraw funds, they can just withdraw either the Ethereum Classic funds or the Ethereum funds. With Bitcoin, and as it currently stands, there's not really any replay protection. And so we're hoping that we can build replay protection in time. But there's all these questions on how you would even do that. And there are pros to some of the approaches and cons to some of the approaches. And it's unclear whether we're going to be able to achieve that. So it becomes a huge question, like, even if you wanted to split funds, will everyone be able to reliably do that? And the answer is that we don't know yet. And so it's a really, really interesting and tough scenario. Now, in terms of what's going to happen to price, if we figure out, well, first of all, scaling is an ongoing thing, right? This is not SegWit gets implemented, and this is the end of the scaling debate, and that's it. As this community keeps growing, as this technology keeps growing, as users and use cases continue to grow, we will face this again, and hopefully it won't be as contentious what the right way to scale is as it has been this time. But we do have an immediate need right now to basically solve this, because the network is at its capacity. And so the question now becomes, the question on price is, to me, is very interesting, because I believe a lot of people have become less bullish on Bitcoin because of this huge standstill. So you have to ask yourself what's going to happen to those people if it comes out that people say it's August 1st, we have SegWit, we have, I don't know what'll end up happening, but let's say people say, 95% of the hashing power is supporting SegWit and 2 megabyte blocks, and we're moving forward. I think it's going to be a huge progress for the ecosystem.
Yeah. I want to briefly, we'll get to the other guys. You mentioned off air that you guys are actually selling Ripple also, which I found very interesting. Why did you decide to have that as your third coin and not Litecoin? And do you have any plans to expand to any other coins?
So the question of adding more coins is a very interesting one for us, because we don't have the liquidity of the bigger exchanges. So a lot of the people that buy Bitcoin or Ether through us can easily go in and exchange that for something else at a much liquid market somewhere else, right? There are much more liquid crypto to crypto markets than the ones that we have in the country. And so the bet that we've sort of made is, we want to add cryptocurrencies where there is real value to us having them, right? There's real value in them. And Litecoin is a surprisingly interesting prospect for us, and something that we continue to talk about and continue to engage with, internally and externally. But it's also a significant amount of resources to make sure that you're handling these things correctly, that you're securing them in a professional manner, and that you're keeping track of who has access to what. And the reason why we added Ripple is because we feel like Ripple has some really interesting advantages. We specifically like things like 2-second transactions that are non-reversible, and Ripple has made interesting headways with financial institutions. And we've had some interest from financial institutions who are too scared to touch Bitcoin, but are willing to sort of engage with things like Ripple. And so I think Ripple and the use of XRP is still at an infancy specifically for cross-border transactions. But it is the kind of thing that you have to ask yourself, what happens if financial institutions start relying on it? Because Bitcoin is unable to scale. Bitcoin is unable to go through the change in branding that it has suffered for a long time. And we're, of course, huge fans of digital currencies and huge fans of Bitcoin. And we would love to see financial institutions use Bitcoin more. But the reality is that the sell of XRP has been a lot easier than the sell of Bitcoin.
Wow, this is a very unique perspective here that you're giving us here. Not many people have heard this before. I think this is very interesting. Pound that like button, people. Pound that like button, because you're not hearing this anywhere else. Gabriel, tell us your price thoughts. If SegWit gets implemented, your feelings about the week in hype that we just had, and everything that was that's been mentioned so far. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts. And on Ethereum also, because we got to talk. Obviously, Ethereum is all-time high. So
the thing is that it's coming to a time where things might change. Okay, so people want to be ready. Okay, they don't want to be left out at first. A lot of people coming who don't know nothing. A lot of people do know. That's why you have been seeing these big moves up and down. Okay, it's just opportunity knocking on your door to get your hands on cryptocurrency. But what happens is that the market cap is going to keep growing. I remember a couple months ago I called it $100 million market cap, and now we are there. I never thought it was going to be that quick though. I never thought it would be in 3 months, like it happened, but it's growing organically. It's so big, it's huge. Nobody knows still where is this going to take us. Okay, this is just the beginning, and we better strap on very good because it's going to be a bumpy ride. And the guys that know, they are all prepared. The guys that don't know, they will be caught off behind. That's what's going to happen.
So I want to ask you real quick though, with the exchange, your exchange is the Venezuelan exchange is growing incredibly fast now.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Please tell us the URL and everything. Tell us all about it.
Yes, thank you. I must say that I've been amazed with the big welcome that the community has given us, because we have got more than 600 subscribers. We're around 717 subscribers right now, and it's been a great response. Okay, and here in my company that I'm representing, Altcoins Inc., we're gonna have everything that's gonna have to do with cryptocurrency towards learning. Okay, for people to learn. It's gonna be a place for people to meet and gather and find a way to live through cryptocurrencies and learn more. And in Venezuela, we had one exchange, but sadly it was offline after anymore, you know. And now I have offered this new marketplace to the Venezuelan people, because we all need to have access. We're constrained only by local Bitcoins, you know, which can be a very troubling also, because a few people with a lot of money can dominate there, and they make their special trades and only negotiate on big amounts, and so the little guy also pay. So the thing is to make easier for everyone. It's going to make it easier for everyone to acquire Bitcoin, okay, and then receive it from overseas. And all the things that Mr. Daniel, which everything he said, I'm going to watch again to listen again, because it's so interesting. He makes a very accurate analysis of the market. The situation with Venezuela is similar. It's a very similar use case situation. So I'm very happy always to be here, because with so many people so interesting with all the thoughts and all the best things, the top of the line of the thoughts of what's going on. Thank you, bye.
All right, so this monkey coin I am linking to in the notes section, so people can check that out. Juan, Galt, tell us, you probably have a lot to say after everything that was just said. Do you have any thoughts on any altcoins this week, or on what's going on with Ethereum hitting the all-time high, and perhaps Ethereum eclipsing Bitcoin in terms of a total market cap? Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting quite a bit of pain in Bitcoin in the coming months. You know, we don't know how, like, Bitmain is the biggest ASIC manufacturer. They sell ASICs to 80% of the market. There's theories, right? And who knows if they will actually enforce this, but they might be willing to, that they'll stop selling ASICs to certain mining pools unless they play with their own copy of the fork. Maybe that's too much. Maybe that doesn't make business sense for them long term, but they might try in the short term to put that kind of pressure on certain pools to get majority hashing power on Chinacoin. Okay, so and like as gentleman was saying, so I'm sorry, I forget your name. Daniel was saying, there's no clear answer to the replay attack problems from the exchanges, right? I'm really curious to see how this develops, and it's going to be essential, because while a lot of exchanges found ways to deal with the Ethereum fork, Coinbase lost millions of dollars on the Ethereum fork, and Quadriga was recently revealed to have lost a lot of money as well, and they might actually be insolvent, right? So some exchanges are going to get hit really hard with this unless they get ready, and I hope and I expect that they will be ready, because there's a lot to learn from the Ethereum fork, but this Bitcoin fork is 10 times bigger, and you know, it's an older technology, so it's not as easy, right? So like what I'm preparing to do and what I'm telling people to do right now is, like, the easiest and most obvious strategy is to move your coins to a paper wallet, or find an exchange that you think will honor both coins and is competent enough to deal with the split, and then get out of the way of Bitcoin for like 2-3 months until things settle, right? Maybe it'll be 2 weeks and it'll be settled, and there'll be 2 coins, and then USAF Bitcoin will be strong enough, or maybe it'll be, you know, maybe a little bit longer, and there's going to be a battle over the brand. There's going to be a battle over which Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin. and that's going to be ugly. And we have language barriers. We have the Spanish people, we have the English people, we have the Chinese people, we have the Korean people, we have Japanese people. Do they know what's going on? No, they have no idea. Probably half of the market has no idea what's going on. So this is going to be a battle that's going to be fought in the technical realm among the people, the usual suspects: Jihan Wu, Bitmain, Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Blockstream, you name it, right? Those are the people that are going to resolve this, or that's where it's going to happen, and it's going to end up affecting the users one way or another who don't know really what's going on.
Now, on a personal level, you support SegWit, and what are your thoughts on this Ethereum thing too?
Okay, so I don't know what the scaling solution is. I'm waiting for the market to prove it either way. I don't like the way that Bitmain has dealt with this problem. I think that the ant belief problem was terrible. I think that ASIC boost is very sketchy, and I don't like the way Bitmain is playing this. Why does an ASIC manufacturer have so much power over a cryptocurrency? This is like the military-industrial complex setting immigration policy for the United States. Okay, it makes no sense, right? So they should just mine and get out of the way, but they're not doing that, right? So I don't like Bitmain, but from a technical scalability solution, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. We'll see, right? I think it's pretty clear that the majority of the engineers are behind USAF, they're behind SegWit, and so that's where I'm putting my egg. But actually, I'm gonna try to end up keeping both coins. And if Bitmain coin becomes anything, then I'll probably sell or hold. I'll see what I do after things settle, right? So yeah, that's Bitcoin. You asked me about Ethereum.
Yes. The whole situation. I mean, Ethereum had a good week. I mean, it had an all-time high, and people are saying it's going to eclipse. If it eclipses Bitcoin in market cap, does that really mean anything, or what are your thoughts on Ethereum?
Yeah, I mean, Ethereum is very strong right now. Ethereum has Silicon Valley behind them. Ethereum is the Silicon Valley's play to enter into the stock exchange, into the financial markets. That's what I'm seeing. There's a lot of ICO money being locked up on Ethereum right now, which is one of the reasons that the price is going up. And yeah, as Bitcoin goes through this fork and this scaling process, guaranteed Bitcoin price is going to go down. And if there's ever a time that Ethereum is going to pass Bitcoin in market cap, it's going to be the next 2-3 months. Do I like Ethereum as an exchange of value? It's definitely the fastest. It works, right? Yeah, sure. There's a risk that they're gonna fork out and do a bail-in or a bailout like they did before, but it works. The thing to know about Ethereum is that it has zero privacy, and most people don't know this. Most people don't care. Don't know why they should care. So there's better coins. There's cheaper coins. I like Dash. I'm a big fan of Dash. They have a much tighter governance situation. They have much better privacy. They have very fast transactions, and I really hope that Bitso implements Dash one of these days.
And do you predict? I was talking with Amanda Johnson, and I was saying how first we had Bitcoin, then Ethereum wanted to be the next Bitcoin, and sure enough, all those people who got in early on Ethereum, who dreamed of it, going up by 20x, they made their money. So do you see Dash as the next Ethereum, as the next one to really make this huge name for itself? Is this its opportunity?
Yeah, I think it is. I think this is definitely its opportunity. We have Dash Evolution coming up in the next few months. It's supposed to release before the end of 2017. And Dash Evolution, from what I've seen, and I just made a presentation about this in Cancun to the Spanish Bitcoin, the Bitcoiners community in Cancun. And if Dash Evolution delivers what they're trying to deliver, it's going to be the most easy to use cryptocurrency that we have ever seen. It's going to be, you can create a username, a pseudonym, and then you send between pseudonyms, and in the background you're exchanging public addresses, and the whole anonymization happens by default in the background. And then you have this governance system that has been proven up to now to work very well and have a lot of capital to reinvest in the infrastructure of Dash, just happening in the background. And all you're going to know is you're going to sending digital cash to people, like the original dream of Bitcoin. Bitcoin today is turning into digital gold, right? We're going to have digital gold instead of a digital cash. And SegWit is they're talking about adding like SCORM signatures, and there's going to be good privacy, and there's going to be Lightning Network scalability. Okay, great. I really hope that kind of privacy gets to Bitcoin. I'm kind of concerned about how Lightning networks work, because then you have to like open this special channel with people. Then there's like collateral, and like it changes the way that Bitcoin is used. It's no longer peer-to-peer exactly. You have to build these little bridges and then exchanging those little bridges and then close the bridges. And that's uncomfortable, but maybe that's just the way of the future. And that's the only scalable solution that I see that doesn't end up with people having, 10 terabytes of hardware of this space necessary to run a Bitcoin full node. So it seems like SegWit is the only real scalable path forward that I see, but I'm sure there's a bunch of solutions, and I'm not an engineer. So I'll wait to see what the market does. But yeah, I like Dash. It's cheaper, and I'm moving towards accepting Dash and using it personally. I'm also using Ethereum to move money around because the same reasons that Daniel was saying. It's just so much faster and easier and cheaper. So like now when I use Bitso, I just move Ethereum in, and it just works, right? So Bitcoin is really it's really putting pain on people because it's so expensive. So I really hope that things work out well with this fork, but it's not a guarantee that everything's going to go perfectly.
Yes. So someone in the chat was like, "This guy's not positive." Well, everyone's got a different opinion. I don't agree with everything that Juan said, but we get different voices on here. We had someone that Daniel was saying good things about Ripple. Everyone knows I've never said a good word about Ripple in my entire life, nor will I ever probably. But Daniel, I would address. Do you have thoughts on what Juan just said, and specifically do you have thoughts on this ICO thing? Because it was a little overshadowed this week, but there have been a lot of tweets going around. Just people saying, well, Ethereum is only where it is because of everyone's trying to build ICOs on it. So any thoughts on what Juan just said, and any thoughts on ICO madness? Do you hear about it in Mexico? Do people care about it in Mexico?
Yeah, I definitely think there's ICO madness. I was just looking at some stats on money poured into ICOs versus the amount of money poured by VCs into the space, and the amount of money raised by ICOs is now larger than the amount of venture capital money. And so, and you got to ask yourself, how much due diligence are people doing when they are, when they're investing into these ICOs? And my thought is that it's not a lot. I have friends who are holders of things that they don't even understand what the hell they are. They talk to me about, tokens that I have never even heard of, but they are excited by them because they've gone up and down in value, or they bought low and sold high, and then it crashed, and then and it's like, what are you guys doing? What's the thesis here? Like it seems like for some people it's just like a game, which is, I mean, maybe people have disposable income that they want to just throw at these things and gamble with, or maybe people are getting addicted and it's like gambling. But at the same time, I do think that ICOs are incredibly fascinating because they are disrupting the way that capital can be raised. And so innovation is what drives us as society forward. And ICOs are innovating on something that has lacked innovation in a really long time. I think it's fascinating. One of my co-founders learned about Slack very early on, and he said Slack is going to be a huge company, and I want to invest in it. But he's not a known investor, and there was no way that he was able to get in on investing in Slack early on. And ICOs give the opportunity of individuals around the world to make these investments for the first time ever, right? Like for the first time ever, you're allowing people to invest in BAT. Where in the world, wherever you are, and have a token that supports a protocol, and that is fascinating. You have to be really blind if you don't think that this is changing something fundamental about the way that fundraising has worked. But obviously, as anything in the world, when Bitcoin started, there was a lot of irrational things that happened. We had the biggest liquidity provider in the world suddenly go bankrupt because it was mismanaged, right? And a lot of people lost funds. And the same thing is going to happen with these ICOs. Some of these things I can guarantee you will go bust. And some of these things hopefully will actually go on to become something huge, just in the same way that Ethereum has become to be huge. And it all started 3 years ago in an ICO, right? And so I am both fascinated by it, but also a little bit scared by it, because there's definitely a lot of exuberance, and there's definitely a lot of money flowing into these things, and also and worst of all, there's a lot of speculation. The other thing that I would like to say about ICOs is that, you know, we have a I would say we have a pretty successful company in Mexico, no, for sort of when you think about new enterprises, entrepreneurship, et cetera, et cetera. The amount of capital that we raised was significantly smaller than the amount of capital that some of these ICOs have raised. And I question that, you know, there's a lot of literature that indicates that raising too much money might actually not be the best thing for your business. And I often wonder about this in the context of ICOs. Like, what does someone do when they raise $150 million? Like, how do you actually go from, you know, dreaming up an idea to executing on it when you have $150 million in the bank? And what does that do to you as an individual? And you know, as an operator, as a founder of a company, and I think it's a really worthwhile question. There's a great blog post by Fred Wilson, which talks a lot about whether you know, the problems of raising too much money. And there's a lot of examples of companies who've raised too much money and never really did anything because they never really even learned to get a handle on their finances. So I think I think it's fascinating. I think it's entertaining. I think it's dangerous, and I think we're gonna see some very interesting things develop in the near future. We're gonna see things that are going to completely go bust, and hopefully we're gonna see things that are gonna be incredibly life-changing. As to the value of Ethereum going up, and whether that's, you know, whether ICOs are primarily responsible for this, you know, it might be that ICOs are in large part responsible for it, but you know, you can't just dismiss though Ethereum because it has completely enabled a very different ecosystem to develop. ICOs wouldn't be happening at the speed at which they're happening and in the fashion at which they're happening without the Ethereum platform. So, you know, every single ICO that goes through and, you know, it doesn't get hacked and doesn't, like, it's just maturity in a platform. And you have to ask yourself what that means. You know, what does it mean for people to raise significant amount of money through a platform that, you know, 3 years ago it was impossible to do so? And so I think it's exciting to see the use cases in Ethereum grow, and that is actually the reason why we added Ethereum to Bitso, is because we thought that it enabled it had a number of capabilities that things like Bitcoin didn't have, and it has some advantages and some disadvantages. You know, its flexibility also means it has a larger surface attack. And as an exchange, you know, we see these attacks happening on the Ethereum network all the goddamn time, and they suck. You know, oh my God, the node crashed because it ran out of memory because someone figured out that if they called this instruction 1,000,000 times, it basically causes nodes to crash. And so, oh, there's an emergency release that needs to be upgraded today if you don't want your node to die. You know, those are things that you see in the Ethereum network as an operator that you don't see on the Bitcoin network, right? Like the Bitcoin network, the code that gets released into the Bitcoin network is incredibly professional, and we haven't really seen attacks in the Bitcoin network in quite a long time. Not, at least not to the same extent as the ones that we see in Ethereum. We tend to see an attack on the Ethereum network, you know, once every few months. And now ICOs have become the new way in which the Ethereum network is attacked, simply because they completely flood the system. And if you're an operator, you start dropping transactions, and you gotta sort of figure out how to reprocess them, et cetera, et cetera. But but that's also fascinating because the fact that the Ethereum team keeps releasing new stuff all the time just means that there's a lot of iteration on the software, and with iterations comes progress, and with progress comes advancements and use cases, and I think that also has to drive value. So these are I think very interesting things.
Okay, well, that very unique perspective. Is I love what you have to say here. Pound that like button, people. Pound it. Let's now these other guys, Juan and Gabriel, they're gonna have to get out of here soon. I linked to their channel below, so everyone will be able to go there at 8:30. Please pound the like button for them, for me. But Gabriel, so let me let you have your conclusionary remarks. Any things you wanted to share that were left out, you thought. The floor is yours here, Gabriel.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I would like to add to the guys that said the very special analysis that adding to the ICO thing, this is going to be the new way in which companies are going to build capital in a fast way from anywhere around the world, with also many difficulties that people encountered before. So this is a financial investment on the move and on the rise. And it's going to be ups and downs. Some are going to crash, but it's a very big opportunity for people to start making enterprises and try a way to collect money, even if it's a small or a big enterprise. It's going to be great for the future.
All right. Anything you want to add about Venezuela? Anything or about the show that's coming up? Because we're getting this.
Yeah, we're going to have a show today. Okay, it's gonna be in Spanish. We will invite everyone. And Venezuela, I would like to add, is one of the hottest places of the cryptocurrency around. And we have big amount of people using this technology and very happy using it. And as for things, I'm gonna keep rolling and keep moving forward. And we're gonna help everyone in Venezuela, and don't have to fear anymore, because we're going to make things the right way. Okay, my company is set to do the things the right way, presentation for the community, and not to be bullied anymore. We're gonna Venezuela to grow bigger, stronger, and much better.
Awesome. Juan, a lot has been said this show. I'm giving you the floor to say anything you want to get out, anything that's been left out, and get your promotions in and everything you want to say.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think the ICOs are definitely fascinating. We're seeing a disruption of the VC ecosystem in the United States. A lot of people are able to now raise money for projects that they couldn't before, and projects that are in the fringes of society and that have a lot of potential, and people actually believe in them, even though the mainstream doesn't think that they're legit. And this is going to be really interesting to watch. I'm concerned about the way that it's happening, though, because, you know, it's funny. There's all this talk about smart contracts. Oh, a smart contract this, smart contract that. We have all this capacity with Ethereum, but these ICOs are like just a normal token. Like it's just a basic send receive token on top of Ethereum. And there's nothing smart about it, as far as I can tell. They're just normal tokens, right? You know what a smart ICO would be? If you had smart contracts with like multi-signature sort of locked in with like a third party that's trusted, and then you have milestones in, so that you don't have the problem that Daniel was pointing out. So let's say you raise $10 million. Okay, you get $2 million now for startup, and then once you reach certain milestone, this trusted party releases with you the next $2 million, and so on and so forth through the milestones. Or maybe you have time locks in the smart contract, so you can't get 80% of the money until you do like the other 20% to do this thing, or after this many months. Like there's a lot more stuff that we can do here, instead of grabbing a bunch of millions of dollars and throwing them at one company and trusting them and then hoping that they do the right thing. That's not really centralized, and it's not really a smart contract, right? So I really hope that this self-regulation happens from within, inside of Ethereum, and that we see it grow, and that the SEC doesn't come and start regulating Ethereum from on top, which is going to be terrible for everybody involved in cryptocurrencies.
All right. Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say before we're gonna close down the show? Daniel's gonna get the final words, but I just, again, Juan, anything else you want to put out there, and just to remind everyone about your show at 8:30 also.
Yeah. So I'm right now I'm working on a piece for the Dollar Vigilante, where I'll be looking at all the wallets and all the exchanges and and figuring out what the best options for people are to protect their wealth against the current Bitcoin fork that's coming, right? So that's going to be released to the TDV Dollar Vigilant subscribers. So go if you want to get that. It's going to be coming out at the end of the month. Go to TDV and subscribe if you want to get that research article from myself. There's also hardware wallets that you can get at cryptohardwarewallet.com. You can also go to juangalt.com/cryptohardwarewallet, and you can pre-order, the top of the line cryptocurrency hardware wallets, Trezor, Ledger Nano S, and you can get some of the HW1 ledgers. And they might actually have the Ledger Nano, the normal Ledger Nano, which it stores only Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is the only one that's forking right now. So that should be good enough for you. Check it out, 5% discount code Juan Galt, and you get, if you use Juan Galt, you get 5% off. And yeah, we'll be fine. Just take a step back, maybe put your money in a safe place, and in a few months we'll be fine.
Yeah, taking a step back is always a good idea, people. Remember, don't check the price every second of the day. And hey, it went below 2,000 for a second. Now it's around 2,500. If you didn't pay attention all week, you'd really never know all this craziness happened. And yeah, cryptohw.wallet. Juan talks about them. Tone Bays talks about them. Now I do too. Links are below here also. They're a great company over there. Daniel,
yes.
You get the final words on the show today. Thank you so much thank you everyone for being on. But Daniel, this was your first time on the show. You really rocked it. I'm getting good feedback already here. So what are your conclusionary remarks? What would you like to share that hasn't been shared yet?
No, look, thank you so much for having me. It's actually been really fun. I had never done one of these before, so thank you for having me. I think it's really important that we all remember sometimes why we are doing this, and what are some of those qualities of Bitcoin that drove us to the ecosystem and that drove us to the technology, and what were the things that we found interesting. And I bet you have a lot of people in this channel that fall very aggressively on both sides of the debate, and there are probably people who feel very strongly about having 1 megabyte blocks forever, and then maybe I'm sure you have people who feel very strongly that we shouldn't have caps on block sizes and that SegWit should be implemented. And what I would just encourage everyone to do is, you have to look at some of the metrics and look at the fact that fees are really increasing, and we don't really have any great layer 2 solutions that have been developed yet, and that it's a fascinating technology. And if we don't come together as an industry, as a community, as a set of users, we're going to be our own worst enemies. And the future of Bitcoin really is in all of our hands. And it's important that we stop all this animosity that exists in the space, and that we work together to sort of resolve these goddamn issues and move past them, and continue building this technology and continue making Bitcoin great again.
Wow, well, that's some good conclusionary words from the unique perspective out of Mexico City there. It has been quite a show. You're only going to get this international perspective on what's happening this week in Bitcoin at this show. So remember to come back next Friday, everyone. I do post a new video here on this channel every day that deals with all sorts of cryptocurrency topics, Bitcoin a lot of the times. But hey, we have Amanda Johnson on too. We have every different type of person on there. They might have different views than you, but hey, it's not all about hearing Adam Meister every day talk about SegWit. We got to hear other voices. So we heard some unique stuff today. We're going to hear some unique stuff in the future. Remember, I thank my guests all again. Check out the Habla Español show at 8:30. It's going to be linked to below. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to be on it. I'm going to try to use my high school level of Spanish to understand every single thing that's going on there. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, this Rob Meister. Please remember to subscribe to this channel, share this video, pound that like button, and do check out this channel every single day, because there is at least one new video every day. Even when I'm traveling all over Europe, I'm back in Baltimore now. I'll be on the road again soon enough. But hey, I'll see you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.